here we go. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you had a good afternoon break, had a chance to maybe get your tea, get your coffee, maybe even get a chance to explore the networking tool that's within the on-air platform. Now, our next session is with Mo MaCrae, who is one of Australia's most in-demand commercial film directors and author of the upcoming book, Video Economy: How to Harness Video in the New Economy for Your Business, Your Brand, and Yourself. Now, Mo coaches leadership teams on the art of having on-screen presence and really how to be comfortable and confident in front of the camera, how to connect with and influence your audience. In 2007, he won the Matt Damon and Ben Affleck $1 million film competition, Project Greenlight, with his brother Ken. He has gone on to direct feature films, brand content, and some of Australia's most loved TV commercials, including Sam's Kakovich Australia Day lamb ads. Being not in Australia myself, I have to go and pull this up later on YouTube and watch it as well. He has lectured and tutored in creativity and communication for over 20 years and is creative director of Mo & Co. So Mo, could you take it away?
Excellent. Thank you very much, Christy. And thank you for having me here. It's, you know what, I actually always love just hearing someone else say that Matt Damon and Ben Affleck gave me $1 million.
Like, it sounds sweet from any voice, from anyone.
No, it sounds cool. Like, I'm like, did they really? The truth is they didn't actually hand me $1 million, but they did give me $1 million to make it. They sort of paid for the $1 million of the film, which was excellent. But still,
I'm going to switch off my video mode just because I think they'll want to see you in full screen. But if you ever want me to come back,
absolutely,
well, you come back anytime.
You can come in anytime. You can come into this room whenever it's your room. You can come in whenever you like.
Not my room. I'll catch you in a bit. Continue, please.
Thanks, Christy. See ya. Okay, so listen, I understand it's only a relatively short session. We've only got 30 minutes or so, and then I'm going to open it up for a Q&A. But if you have any questions throughout the whole thing, throw them into the chat so Christy can monitor them, and we'll jump onto them. I'll jump onto them in the middle of the session if you like, and otherwise we'll get them in the last 10 minutes. So what am I going to talk to you about today? Well, I don't need to tell you that we're in the middle of pretty changing times, right? But I have always thought, it would be incredible to be a part of the biggest revolution of a generation. It'd be incredible to be alive for it. It'd be incredible to be part of it. Even better to be at the forefront of it. And I reckon, and I am biased, but I reckon we're in a revolution at the moment. It's the video revolution. And, you know, clearly COVID has been an enormous catalyst for it. I think it's been a 5-year accelerant. I think it's pushed us forward so that all of us who even thought that maybe we could resist being in front of a camera, and that includes me because I love being behind it, don't like being in front of it. But COVID has said you're not allowed to do that anymore. You are in front of the camera, whether it's external communications, whether it's brand building and positioning, whether it's messaging, offers, delivery, whether it's service, customer service, or internal comms, whether it's just a meeting, whether it's catching up with friends and family. We have been told we have to be in video now. We've been pushed into it. So it's pretty exciting times, but I think the critical thing is not to be, if this revolution's going on, if this time of change is happening, there's two ways you can go with it. You can do enough to catch up, to be up to speed and just involved, or you can learn how to harness it properly and be at the front of the revolution, to lead the revolution. And I tell you, in 10 years' time, the ones who lead it now and learn how to use it quickly, learn how to use it properly and harness the power of video, which is just quite staggering, really, what it can do. The ones who do that will lead the revolution, and in 5 years' time, they'll be the ones who are ahead. I want to take you back to not just the last 5 years. I want to take you back to the 15th century just very quickly for a little story. Who knows the Gutenberg press, right? So 1455, Gutenberg designs the printing press, revolutionizes the information of the world, right? So before that, no one really knew how to read and write because you didn't have to, right? Because you didn't have to learn how to read because there was nothing to write, unless you were a monk. right? The Franciscan monks in particular, but the monks knew how, some of them knew how to write and most of them knew how to read. And they would sit in the village square and they would read to people. So I don't need to learn to read because Bob the monk, well, he probably wasn't Bob, but the monk is going to read for me, right? Bob the monk. I reckon it could be Bob the monk. But Bob's going to read for me, so I don't need to learn how to read. Then Gutenberg designs the printing press. And at the same time, actually, it's interesting. At the same time, there were two other printing presses developed around the world, one in South Korea, one in China. And there's this ability to make information reproduced faster and put out to the world more easily. So suddenly there's more books, suddenly there's libraries, and suddenly more people have access to writing. So therefore more people need to learn to read. So everyone works out that if we're going to keep up, we need to learn to read. And the really smart ones say, if we're not going to just keep up, but we're going to lead, then we need to learn how to write. And I reckon that's where we are with the video revolution. We've all learned how to read video. We've all learned how to consume it. My God, my kids consume 3 screens at a time. You know, they're watching TV, they've got their laptop open and they're on their phone. Yeah, and usually one of them's a video game, one of them's watching a video game, and one's communicating with friends. We know how to read video, and we haven't learned how to write it. We haven't learned how to create it properly. And this is not the realm of specialists anymore. I wish it was, because that was really great when I had to be hired to make video. But what I do now is I teach people how to do it themselves and how to be great themselves, how to direct yourself, how to be able to use everything all the directors' tricks, everything we do to manipulate. That sounds bad, but we manipulate audiences. Our job is to manipulate an audience. A director's job is to drive their emotions, to capture their attention, to deliver information or deliver a story or something through a creative vision, to somehow have an impact on them, to influence them, and to change the way they think, feel, or what they do. It used to be the realm of a specialist. It used to be only my job and people would hire me for it. And now it's your job. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you how to do that better. I'm going to teach you how to think like a director, because how we show up on video today is how we are seen in the world. Right? We can't avoid it anymore. How you show up in video is how you are seen in the world. And this matters for external comms, for your team and how they're seen in the world, and also for internal comms, the way you turn up to a meeting, the way your set looks, the way your mindset is before you step on stage, because you are on stage now and you are in front of the camera. So we're going to jump into it really quickly. I'm going to teach you how to think like a director. So everyone knows, it's funny, you know, I started off, the first thing I did was this $1 million film project Greenlight. The film was called The View from Greenhaven. And when we won it, Mum said, "So what's your job?" And she said, are you acting in it? I said, "No, I'm not an actor. The actors do the acting." And do you write it? No, the writers do the writing. She said, "Right. Do you get the camera out and you film it?" I said, "No, the cinematographer films it." She basically went through a list of the entire crew and realized that the director does nothing but standing and shouting and pointing. Although I don't shout, but you just stand and point really and get everyone else to do everything. A director's job is very strange, but it's to direct everyone else. It's to direct the cast, the people who are in front of the camera. It's to direct the crew and bring together a disparate team of creative professionals and unify them into some creative vision that's designed to influence an audience, which is actually pretty similar to a lot of roles inside corporate, right? You want to design, whether it's project management or marketing teams or comms teams, you're trying to bring people together to follow a unified creative path that comes out looking consistent and with some kind of resonant strength and consistency. So we direct cast, we direct crew, but funnily enough, I've always thought we had a bigger job. The biggest job a director has is to direct the audience. Right? It's the director's job to direct the audience. And that means, what that means is you know, the director directs their eyes around the screen, directs their attention, directs their emotions, directs when they're going to be scared or when they're going to get information or where they're going to wait, when they're going to lull into a little bit of comfort before you scare them. Director's job is to direct the audience in every way to help it make it easier for them to get the message that they came to get. See, for me, an audience is, I know who my audience is. It's easy. They're all the people sitting in a big dark room, looking at a big bright screen, facing the same way, eating popcorn. But what I think is, and I know what they want, right? If they've come to see a horror film, they're saying, will you scare me? If they've come to see a comedy, they're saying, will you make me laugh? If they come to see a romantic comedy, they've come to say, will you remind me that despite how shit I think life is, it's actually okay and things might work out? I know what the audience want, but my contention is that for me, while it's obvious for me, all of us have an audience in every communication, in every piece of communication, we have an audience. And if we don't know who the director is, if we're not directing it, then we're the audience. So if you want to control what is going on, if you want to control the dialogue, and if you want to move an audience, whether it's just an internal team, a one-on-one or an external audience, you need to direct them. And if you direct them, then you are the director. So let's have a look at those three things. So I want to bring what my role is as a director back into your realm for how you do that. So how you would be able to direct cast, who your cast is. I'll give you a hint, it's you. Who your crew is and your set. You know, the crew is not just the people around that make it happen, but everything in front of the camera and everything behind your camera, and how you can help your set and what you do when you step onto stage, what you can do to make that better, to have on-camera presence, to have a sense of power and comfort and some kind of electric connection to the audience so that they listen to you better, so that they find it easier to take in the message that you want to give them. And then finally, we'll talk about directing the audience and some of the things around that. So I just want to show you this very quickly. There's a great quote from Seth Godin. And this is not a photo of Seth, but I just like it this way anyway. If your audience is not listening, it's not their fault, it's yours. And this for me was always the responsibility of a director to say, if they've come to be influenced and they've come to be informed or educated or inspired, or they've come to be scared or shocked or laugh or connected, whatever it is they've come for, it's your job as a director to make sure they get that. It's your job as a director to make sure that they're listening. So I want you to think about this, right? I want you to just go away and think about the fact that every time your camera is on now, you are the director, right? You're the director. Whether it's a piece of video content or just a video meeting, you're the director. So what do you have to do? So you must direct. And I really love the idea of how simple it is as a word to remind you of what your action needs to be. You know, how simple it is to remember that if you're directing, you're directing, you're pushing, you're showing, you're leading your audience to where you need them to go, right? So if we have a look at this, and here are the three areas. So we've got your crew, right? Or your set, right? It's kind of like, it's like your set is everything in your room. If you're in meetings, or if you're in a Zoom conference, or online, or if you're creating marketing content that needs to go out to the world, your set is what the audience is seeing around you. Your cast is all about directing yourself. And finally, the most important is making sure you direct your audience, because they're the ones we need to influence, right? So you need to direct your audience, direct your set, and direct yourself. So how do we do that? Well, first of all, I'm going to go into, I want to talk about a little exercise that I think is, if you take 1 minute to do this before every time you're on video, you'll have greater impact and greater influence over your audience than any time you don't. And you'll have more impact and influence and persuasion than anyone else in the meeting. So here's a little thing, right? I want you to just grab a sheet of paper when you, just before you go onto video, because every video, even if it's live, is an opportunity to influence an audience. Draw a little line down the middle of it, and I want you to go state before, state after. And what I want you to do is I want you to think about this. I want you to think about, I want you to think about how every time you're on video, you should have an understanding of what your audience's state of mind is before they come in and what your audience's state of mind is after they've watched your video. Whether it's a piece of content or a meeting, what's their state before and what's their state after? Because if they're not different, then you shouldn't be making a video, right? We don't want to waste their time. One thing, over the last 5 years, Cisco did a study, I think 2 years ago, end of 2019, saying that over 80% of internet traffic is video now. Now, I guarantee that about 98% of it is not worth watching, and it's absolute rubbish, and it's just adding to a whole lot of noise of wasted content that fill our eyes, fill our world. So don't make video content like that. Be really intentional about every time your camera goes on, even if it's just in a Zoom meeting. So what I want you to do is draw this line down the page and right on each side of it, state before and state after. And I want you to think about your audience and their state on 3 levels. What are they thinking? How are they feeling? And what are they doing, right? And if you can just quickly jot down what they're thinking beforehand and what you would like them to think. What are they thinking? They're thinking, this meeting isn't for me. And they're thinking, I'm busy and it's not important. Hopefully you can write better than me and you can read your own words. What would you like them to think after the video, after they see this? Maybe it's this is important for me. This is relevant. This is the biggest priority I have. How are they feeling? Well, maybe they're feeling confused, right? Maybe they're feeling defensive. Maybe they're feeling insecure. Maybe they're feeling tired. Maybe they're bored. Maybe they're disengaged. What are they then going to feel after seeing your video? What are they going to think before and after? And then ultimately, what are they going to do before and after? And do is usually, what are they doing now? Nothing. And what do you want them to do? Well, give them one thing and be really clear about it when you're making a video. Be as clear as you would be if you were in a meeting, if you were delegating a task. Ask them for one thing, ask them for commitment on it, and ask them to come back to you. If the one thing you want them to do is participate, give them one thing with clarity to do. Too many times we're making video, even video content, when we're putting brand positioning stuff out there, and we're not asking the audience, we're not telling the audience what to do afterwards. We're not guiding them, right? You got to direct your audience so it's easier for them to listen, easier for them to come into the picture, easier for them to be influenced the way they actually want to be influenced. Because the truth is, if they're watching something of yours, if they're watching a video, if they've turned up to a meeting or a session or a seminar, they do want something, right? And you just want to find something that is aligned, that you want them to have and that they want to have. So do that little exercise, and I guarantee you, you'll be much more intentional about what you do when you are on video. Secondly, we're going to talk very quickly about, how to direct your set, right? So we've talked about directing your audience. Directing your audience is about before and after, state before and state after. Then we're going to come down, we're going to go, how do we direct your set? What is your set? Well, your set is two things, right? There's your physical set. And your physical set is everything in your world when you turn your camera on. And what I want you to do, because most of us have been pretty terrible at it, okay? And if I could see your videos now, I'd be very kindly asking for a volunteer, and we could just workshop straight through, because one of the things I do is in my workshops is I help people set up a look, right, for their Zoom meetings and for the way they show up when they're working remotely, and teams are working remotely, and we get entire teams on a session, and within an hour we've fixed up 60 Zoom rooms, cameras and calls, so everyone can see you and hear you and feel who you are without being distracted by your bedroom door, the shelf in the corner, your crooked books. Because here's the thing, people are looking at everything in your frame and they're judging. You know, when, I mean, they judge anyway, right? But you know, when you watch people love to watch a movie and they find some faults in it, find some mistakes, find an error. What they do is they rewind and they pause, rewind and pause, rewind and pause. And where we are in Zoom, on Zoom meetings, we're basically a paused frame for 45 minutes. So everyone's looking, right? Everyone's looking at what's behind you. They're looking at that bookshelf there and they're going, gee, those books are crooked. Oh, she's a bit messy. Wow, that's a funny print you've got on the wall there. Doesn't water that plant very much. Now, they're picking all these little things out, right? And they're judging you on them, and they're telling themselves stories about it. Now, they're your audience. And what they're doing is they're taking the stories that you didn't want to tell, and they're telling them to themselves. So you have to be really intentional about everything that's in your set. The easiest way to do it is this. First of all, turn your camera on, look at your Zoom screen and see what they are seeing. And then what I want you to do is think about this. Think about a little bit of nothing and a little bit of you, right? A little bit of nothing, a little bit of you. Clear most of stuff out. Make it plain and clear. A clear wall, a curtain, a drape, something that is not a messy shelf. A bit of nothing, and then a bit of you. Bring in a bit of your spirit, not a bit of your work, right? A bit of what you love, a bit of something that may be relevant to why you're great at your job, something that may be about something that's a connected passion. You know, I love film stuff. I'm a director. It kind of works. People go, director, yeah, camera, scripts, owl. Don't know what that's there for, but you know, maybe he likes owls. Cool. But you look at it and you go, what happens is subconsciously the audience go, kind of makes sense, kind of good. Okay, now what are you saying? So there's no more stories to tell. They're not being distracted. You're guiding them to focus on you by clearing your background out and making it intentional, bringing this little bit of spirit, something that kind of, if they do ask about it, there's a story there for you. You know, there's something you can tap into and talk about. But a little bit of nothing, a little bit of you, right? That's it for designing your physical set. The other thing I want you to focus on is have a think about your mindset, right? Because before you step onto stage, and you see, when I see great actors and the way they perform, great actors are very, very precious. They're very precious anyway, right? But they're very, very precious when they're stepping onto set. They go from their trailer to set. No one's allowed to look at them or touch them. They're in their mode. They're in their costume. They get their water. They got their assistant. They pick up the script. They hand off the script. They drop the water. They step on set and bang, they're on. right? And that's because they don't want to be taken out. Tom Cruise doesn't want to be taken out into Tom Cruise world or into promo or PR or something else until he's on set when he's being Ethan Hawke. He's Ethan, not Ethan Hawke, Ethan Hunt. That'd be interesting if he was acting as Ethan Hawke, as Tom Cruise being Ethan Hawke, being Ethan Hunt. Anyway, he's in the mode, right? And he's precious about that and protective of it. And you would have seen films like viral videos of like Christian Slater going off at people, don't stand in my eye line. That's because they don't want to be trying to be in character and being real and connecting to an audience here and be distracted by Jerry, the guy holding the lamp, smoking a cigarette, reading his phone. Bob the monk, Jerry the lighting guy. So what's in your eye line? What's behind your camera that's looking back at you that can take you into a different space? I want you to think about what you can put in your room on the other side of the camera that the audience doesn't see, but helps you be better when you step onto set. And think also about the time before you step on stage, before you step on set and press record or enter the Zoom room, or before the camera's on. What are you doing to help be your best self? What are you doing to help bring out the very best of you from the moment you come on camera, right? So there's no kind of, video's not working, my sound's not working. Hey, I haven't got my shirt, my shirt's not, where's my pant? What? Just be on and be prepared and be your best self, because you are the actor now. You are on screen and your audience is looking at everything you do. So you need to be set. You need your physical set and you need your mindset. And there's so many little tricks around that. I've got the coaching courses I run for teams on this are all about getting comfortable and confident and being able to influence an audience without it being so much work, without the Zoom fatigue. It helps them and it helps you as well. It actually it's what makes the whole thing, the benefit of video, of being able to connect with people. The Moravian, communication rule of 38, what was it, 38, 7, something else, whatever the balance is to 100. The words we say are not the most important thing in communicating with someone else. The most important thing is our body language and our vocal modulation. Vocal 55, 38, 7. That's it. 7% is the words you say, 38% is your vocal modulation, 55% is your body language. Video gives us that, but we have to be really deliberate about it. We have to also think about our mindset, our physical set. I'm going to, in 1 minute, I'm going to show you how to direct yourself. So the last step is directing yourself, right? So I want you to think about this. Directing yourself is all about finding the triggers and finding the cues that can bring out the part of you that people love. And I'm not just talking about work, right? I want you to think about 4 voices. I call them the 4 voices of presence. Everyone's got 4 voices of presence. And your triggers, my job as a director was always to get into the head of whoever's in front of the camera. And I've done that with actors. I've done it with politicians and sports stars and business leaders and celebrities and celebrity chefs. Also weird. But 4 voices of presence. I want you to think about this. And my job is to find the triggers that can activate those in people. I want you to think about what makes you smile, what makes you laugh. It's usually an inappropriate friend that you've known a long time that you don't see often and you did something crazy together. Think about that. Find a photo of them. That's a trigger to bring you into that mode. Think about what you love creatively. What inspires you? Is it Paul McCartney or is it David Bowie? Is it paintings? Is it a certain poem? What is it that you just think is extraordinary? Is it architecture? What is it that you think is extraordinary that's man-made, that's brought into the world, that's been created, but just blows your mind? It's your creative voice. I want you to think about what makes you calm. Think about a color that brings you down and brings you into a quiet, soft, gentle confidence. And I want you to think about, finally, who is it in your life who you would mentor for free because you want them to have everything they deserve. Sometimes it may be a child. It may be the child of a friend or a nephew or a niece or a godson or a goddaughter, someone that you care for but are less connected, and because they're not your own kids, they don't annoy you as much. My kids are a little annoying, but think about that person, because if you talk to that person if you can activate that voice, it's a better voice than our business voice, right? It's a better voice than our presentery voice. Voice of joy, voice of creativity, voice of the mentor, and a voice of calm. If you start thinking about your voice and directing yourself and finding triggers to get that in 4 different ways, you have instantly found 4 new ways of being the best you can be on camera to direct your audience. There's so much more I'd love to get into. There's so much more I could tell you, but I'm not going to, because I want to see if there's any questions. We're going to do a quick Q&A, and then I'm just going to give you a little trick. I'm just going to give you a final trick. So, Christy,
Yeah.
do we have any?
Not yet. I think I genuinely think they're just mesmerized and absorbing the information, because I know I started doing the exercises, started thinking about those pictures and what makes me inspired. So I won't be surprised if you've got us all in our heads right now.
Okay, excellent. Well, I'll tell you what. Can I throw something in there? Because I'm going to give you this. I want to give them the single biggest. The single biggest trick for being the best on video. So whoever does this, I guarantee it, whoever does this in a year's time will be the best person on video. And if you're the best on video, you're the best in the world at the moment. It's as simple as that, right?
Okay.
And if you have any questions while we talk about this, then throw them in the chat. Any questions? I'd love to have any questions.
There is one, but I can't interrupt you at this point. You have to tell us the single best trick
quick.
First.
So here's the thing: volume precedes quality, right?
Yeah.
You've got to practice. You've got to get on video, and we get a bit nervous about doing it in meetings and in live work, and we're worried about the outcomes, and we're worried about whether we'll get it wrong. So I get that there's a bit of nervousness around this. So here's the video I want you to make every day. Every day, I want you to make a thank you video. Now, and what I'm talking about is grabbing your phone, right? Don't have to have big camera and big setup and everything. Grab your phone. Think about someone you need to thank, because I know that everyone every day has someone to thank, right? Because there's something to be grateful for every day. It doesn't have to be noble. It doesn't have to be grand and big. It can be, thank you for getting me a coffee. Thanks for the weekend. Thanks for taking me to the football on Friday. Hey, thanks for being my brother. Hey, thanks for making me laugh. Thanks for taking care of that work while I was in this conference today. 30-second video. You pick your phone up and go, hey, Jim, listen, mate. Hey, thanks for the weekend. That was really great. It was good to catch up. Good to see you again. And mate, I can't wait to do it again, but just really appreciate you as a friend. Cheers, brother. Bye. See ya. Now, 30 seconds, right? 30-second video. If you make one of those a day, here's what I know. When we're in gratitude, we are our best self, right? We look the best. We are connected, and the human eye is amazing. It has incredible powers to see the micro movements of muscles around our faces. So if you're truly in gratitude and you are thanking someone and you're on video, what you're doing is you're practicing being your best self on video. Now, it will transform how good you are at connecting through the lens. Absolutely transform how powerful you can be in meetings and communicating with your team and your stakeholders. But here's the really cool thing, right? It'll make someone's day, right? It absolutely makes someone's day, because if you start thanking someone on video every day, world's a better place.
Absolutely. All right. Anita has asked if you think there's been a drop in quality and effectiveness now that people can and do produce their own videos, or is the end product better and more authentic?
Absolutely. The quality has dropped through the floor. And what your responsibility is, and here's the thing, right? It's dropped in 3 ways. The quality, look, and that's fine. Look, when I started doing it, we had $800,000 budgets to shoot a beer commercial. You know, now I get that that's not there anymore, and that's fine, because back then it used to be big crews, big toys, big cameras, big equipment, big budgets, and now everyone's got a production department in their pocket. Now, I'm happy that the price of crew and equipment and gear and post-production has come down, but it doesn't take away from the fact that at the moment, most of the poor quality is because people don't think about what their intention for the audience is, what's their state before and after, and they don't think about how they're being on camera and how they can direct their audience. So I think the quality absolutely has dropped, but the accessibility has gone up, and it's our job now, because it's your job as directors to make sure the quality comes up by being intentional about what's on screen and intentional about what you're doing for your audience.
Right. So it's basically two different aspects. We're talking about the quality of the actual production, but we're also talking about the quality of the storyline, really, and the content. Yeah.
And if you are better on camera and the content is better, then the production doesn't matter.
I love that. 3 minutes left. Anyone have any questions for Mo before we let him go? Because this I've genuinely enjoyed this, and I love the whole switching in between the video cameras as well, Mo. I thought that was just a nice little. You're right. I've just realized that we're actually contributing to Zoom fatigue when we don't make that extra effort. We are part of the problem. Yeah.
Okay, well, while we're just waiting for any other questions to come in, I'll give you a little tip related to that. If you are showing slides, if you are showing slides, or you are going to draw something, draw a model, draw an overhead model or whatever, what I want you to do is, there's something else I've got to tell you too, but I've got to tell you that next. Show them the whole slide, and don't put your head in the corner of the screen. You know, when people do that and there's a little, don't do that. Right? Because we don't need to see your face, right? Yeah. Like you imagine news stories where the news reporter goes, coming up next, we're going to go see the cat up the tree. And then there's the footage of the cat up the tree. And then the reporter's head's up in the corner going, I'm still here. I'm going to tell you about the cat up the tree. No, we just hear his voice. Yeah. You know, the continuity is your voice while you talk, but direct your audience. If you are putting a slide on screen and your head in the corner, what you're saying is, look at us both, look at us both. If you're putting a slide on screen, let them see the slide, and let them see it only as long as they need to, then come back to your face, come back to you and connect with them and engage.
Now you had one more tip, and we've got less than 2 minutes.
Less than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes, I had one more tip. What was it?
Zoom fatigue. What was it?
Zoom fatigue. My God, it was a really good one too. What was it? Oh my God, I've forgotten what it was, but I'll tell you another really great one. Right? See this here.
Okay.
You know, I was talking about your happy voice.
Yeah.
This is the photo that makes me laugh most in the world, right?
Yeah.
It's a photo of my two young boys. They're not young anymore. They're both taller than me. But this was me when I said, boys, we need to take a serious photo for school, and that's them being serious. Right? So it just makes me laugh every time. And that photo lives, right? It lives here, right there. So it because every time I see it, I just smile, right? Yeah. I smile on the inside, and then that comes through. Find a photo that makes you smile on the inside, put it beside your camera, leave it there forever.
Perfect. I think that pretty much is the best way to wrap up as well, because Kate Wise has just mentioned she doesn't have a question, but wanted to say it was a very engaging workshop. Thank you, a lot to take away in action. And there's already been 4 thumbs up to that comment. So I know that that's just how people are feeling right now. That's why you're not getting any questions, because we're all just absorbed.
Thank you, Christy. And look, there's so much more. What I would say is, if anyone has any more questions, jump on my website. There's a whole bunch of video tips on there. There's performance tips. There's so many great workshops we can do to help your teams and help your whole
executive leaderships and things. Yeah.
Communicate better, stronger, clearer, and easier.
Perfect. Well, that's it, Mo. I have to let you go. I have thoroughly enjoyed myself. Thank you so much.
Video. Make a thank you video. Make a thank you video.
All right. And then I'll just email it to you.
No, everyone make a thank you video. Thanks, Christy. Thank you all. See ya.
Thank you, Mo. Bye. Well, that was it, ladies and gentlemen. I thought that was incredible. I've really enjoyed myself. I think it's one of the most one of the best ways I can ask for to really start heading into our last session for today. The time has really flown. Next up, we have Reed Sexton, who is great group head, of external